We are learning about another digital effort by the Russians to influence last year's election. Google has revealed that Russian operatives exploited the company's platform in an attempt to interfere in the 2016 election. They uncovered tens of thousands of dollars were spent on ads by Russian agents who aimed to spread disinformation across Google's many products, which include YouTube. National reporter of the Washington Post, Matea Gold, joins us now from Washington. Matea, great to see you. What is the significance of this new reporting that Russian agents bought Google ads?
Well, this extends the findings about the efforts that the Russians were making online to try to foment discord during the elections. And it appears that this is connected to a different entity than the Russian troll farm that was involved in ads on Facebook, which suggests there was a much broader effort than had been previously documented.
Now, the Daily Beast is reporting that Russia actually recruited African Americans on YouTube to try and convince Black Lives Matter activists to vote for Trump. They had these personalities come up with raps that were derogatory towards Hillary Clinton. That was the extent of it, which we're only learning. Why is it important that Americans know the degree to which Russia invested in using American platforms like YouTube, Google, and Facebook, basically for propaganda?
Right. Well, what this underscores is really the lack of transparency there is about online advertising efforts that happen during campaigns. There is no requirement that tech companies, for example, like broadcast television stations, post information about who's buying political ads. And now Facebook's proposing going further and providing some of that transparency. But what we found in our reporting is that much of this was happening really invisibly to the broader public and to the media, just because these ads can be so carefully targeted.
Russia seems to have hit on something. They recognize the power of the internet by targeting U.S. voters specifically through these widely used platforms. Were they in some ways ahead of the curve?
Well, what's interesting is they were using tactics that modern American campaigns and corporate America use every day.
Sure.
It's just we didn't realize a foreign government was involved in doing this as well. You know, they weren't necessarily more sophisticated than efforts that we see in the United States. It's just we had never really, I think, fully contemplated what would happen if a foreign power used these technologies to try to meddle in an election.
So as you said, you wrote an article titled Trump's campaign's embrace of Facebook shows companies' growing reach in elections. We heard earlier the Trump campaign digital director, Brad Parscale, say Facebook was the crucial tool that helped win the presidency for Trump. How many resources did the Trump campaign pour into Facebook ads? And did this give him a real edge over Clinton?
Well, the Trump campaign believes that Facebook did provide them with an essential edge. They put roughly $70 million into Facebook ads, which could reach millions and millions of Americans. Experts told us that'd be enough to put an ad in front of the feed of every American Facebook user if that's what they were going for. And this was more than the Clinton campaign spent on Facebook. And they really tried to micro-target and use this technology in a way to reach their base. They weren't as much focused on trying to win over undecideds as rallying their base and getting them very excited about a Trump candidacy, and that appeared to have paid off.
Is there any way to quantify, Matea, how much the Trump ads and the Russian ads actually influence the election?
That's really hard to parse out. I think it's important to think about it in the broader context of the election, that people were getting their information about these candidates on multiple platforms. They were reading about it in the newspaper, they were seeing it on television, and they were seeing it in their social media ads. And all of that together created the atmosphere in which this campaign played out. But what's really important, I think, as we look back on this, is that there hadn't been a way in real time to track what messages people were getting online, and that's something that may change now.
Facebook and Google profit off these ads. Are they expected to make changes that will actually affect their bottom lines?
Well, I think we're already seeing Facebook trying to get ahead of potential regulation that's been proposed by Democrats in the Senate by saying they're going to voluntarily disclose information about political buys. You know, some of these Democratic senators want to go even further and ask them to post information about the rates and the reach of these ads, which I think both Facebook and advertisers would be very squeamish about. So it remains to be seen whether these companies can really get in front of these efforts and whether also Democrats can bring Republicans on board. But I think this does put a new scrutiny on these companies that are facing potential regulation on this front for the first time.
National reporter for the Washington Post, Matea Gold. Thanks, Matea.
My pleasure.